Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode here at Tribal Trades, the daily show. And today we're going to talk about it was so over and now we're so back. And is it going to be we're so over again? Is this a fake out before a breakout, or is this a fake out before a shakeout? We're going to talk about that and a whole bunch more. Before we do that, smash the like button. This does help get this channel out to more people. Of course, does help support the channel. And if you're new to the channel, smash that subscribe button and you'll get the daily updates. Now, we've been looking at the SPY, and we talked on Sunday about the SPY, and I shared about how we did have this bearish engulfing candle on the weekly time frame. We do have a bearish reversal pattern there as well on the weekly time frame, but we had a green candle yesterday. Now, very interestingly there with the green candle, though, is that we are currently retesting the 9 EMA on the daily. Now, as we saw with Bitcoin yesterday, Bitcoin broke down, found some support, and then rallied back into the 9 EMA and is currently rejected. The SPY is doing a little bit of the same, although it didn't go down as low as Bitcoin, and it is currently retesting the 9 EMA. Now, if we can close the day back above the 9 EMA, then I think that would be quite a positive move, because yesterday we were back above just barely, and if we were to open and close another day above, then that could be quite good. However, what we saw with Bitcoin is we saw this peak with Bitcoin, and then we saw a second peak, an M formation that was quite bearish, and we could also see we've got a left shoulder ahead and a right shoulder there as well as a possibility. So I'm cautious. I thought we were going to lose this trade here that we've been in since April, but the SPY has hung in there. And if we just check the volume here, always a good idea to have a look at what volume is going on there. There was quite a bit of volume to the downside, and we want to see how these volume candles would play out there. But as we saw with Bitcoin, let me show you what happened here. And what we saw is we saw this drop below the 9 EMA, just like we saw with the SPY, and then we saw a bounce and currently is rejecting off that 9 EMA there. And we see this M formation with the top part of the M here pattern, and then we have a lower high here before we capitulate to the downside there. So that's what we'd be interested to look at on the SPY. And so I don't think we're necessarily out of the woods. And remember, seasonally, August and September have been a little bit of a sideways, more bearish months for the SPY. And so it wouldn't surprise me if we did consolidate, pause, have a little bit of a pullback to the 50-day moving average there. But we'll see what happens, because yesterday's candle was, of course, very, very strong with the SPY there. And of course, remember, on the weekly time frame, we still do have the inverse head and shoulders on the weekly time frame there, left shoulder head, right shoulder here, and our technical target is to 720. Now, that would, of course, become invalidated if we were to lose the $600 level there on the SPY. So even if we lost the 50-day moving average, I'd question whether this is still valid or not. And so we could just see a little bit of a pause, a little bit of a sideways, a little bit of choppy action there. But this is my key here, the 9 EMA on the daily. We're currently above it. And if we were to close above it again, that would be positive. However, I would be cautiously optimistic. We would certainly need to break above the 639 level and come and retest our test. We didn't actually quite get there. So I should say not retest, but test 642, a key Fibonacci level. That's why it's in yellow while the other ones are in white. It's a double Fibonacci level. And that would be really big for me. I would want to see a break above that, and then I would believe we get a continuation of this move. So even a break above the 9 EMA on the daily would not be enough for me. Of course, this bearish engulfing candle. Obviously, that's why we need to get above that there to validate this bearish engulfing candle. But as long as we stay above the 9 EMA on the daily every day and we close above that, then we could see some more bullish moves to the upside there. Now, we did see a great move yesterday for Palantir, and Palantir absolutely took off like a rocket ship. We were actually in a live session trading this and waiting at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I was with the Tribal Trades family there on the live session, and I shared that trade earlier in the day. And those who were able to get on the trade, in fact, anybody could have jumped in the live session and made a nice chunk of money. And there was the technical target I gave, and it absolutely nailed it on the button. It even exceeded it a little bit by a few cents there. Absolutely incredible trade. This happened while we were on the live session, right at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or just above. We saw this big candle go up, and my position profit, I had a take profit target set in, and that triggered, and so that ended up being a beautiful trade. Of course, we have more upside there for Palantir, a possible entry on a pullback to 28.38 on the 9 EMA on the 1 hour, but that level would have to hold there for that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when the market opens, because this happened in extended hours trading, and some people only have access to the regular trading hours. So it's possible we get some people taking profit when the market opens at 9:30 a.m. or it's possible people FOMO in for some more. Either way, I'm out of that trade, and we'll be assessing the market when it opens if there is any new entries, and I'm unlikely to take any trades in the pre-market this morning. So that was an absolutely fantastic trade. Now, another stock that has earnings today is AMD. Now, I, of course, gave this trade when I identified an inverse head and shoulders here pattern on the daily time frame. I gave the breakout target to $12.48. Of course, you can always trade this on AMD. I like the ETFs because they give me 2x the gains. Trade the 2x. I know in some areas and regions and countries, you have to trade the actual stock, and you can do so. I get asked the question, well, you're trading the ETFs, how can I trade the actual stock? The levels are the same. So the last level that I gave in the Tribal Trades Discord was the 9 EMA on the daily to jump in the trade here about $11.95. So if you go to AMD, you would have gotten in the trade here about $169 on the 9 EMA. It's the same chart. It's the same stock. It's just AMDL gives you 2x the gains. AMD goes up 10%. AMDL will give you 20% of the returns, which is why I traded both actually on this inverse head and shoulders. I traded both AMD and AMDL there, and we got our beautiful technical target, which is around $180 for this move, and I gave this back at $124. So one of the big winners in the Tribal Trades Discord there, and I also shared this here on YouTube for those that managed to get in the trade. So you can trade AMD or AMDL. Now, if you're not in this trade, would I recommend getting in at the moment to play for the earnings? Well, first of all, it's risky because what if the earnings aren't as good as expected? Number two, after what happened with Palantir, what if this move is largely priced in and it just sells off and doesn't really jump up like Palantir? So that's another thing to consider as well. But I'll always say there's always an entry on a hold of the 9 EMA on the 1 hour. You can see how the 9 EMA, this dark pink line, is held. And if it were to come back to that, which is right now at $13.21, of course, you'd want to set your stop losses there because we got in this play all the way back down at $11.95. And so the big difference between getting in a trade here at around $13 as into sub $12, getting in the trade, there's just more risk. There's more risk. And, just want to make sure you have some stop losses set there so that if it doesn't go any higher and it just sells off and really dumps down, that you don't turn a potential winning trade into a losing trade there and just mitigate that. So, of Of course, this was the same with Palantir. People could have taken it last night just before it jumped up. And I think as long as you have a stop loss strategy in there to protect yourself from any unwanted negative earnings or any kind of priced in situation there, that can work. That's the play we've currently got. And as you can see it, I gave this in the Discord here, NDL on the daily, $11.95. I gave that trade well in advance on Friday, the August the 1st at 9:10 a.m. This could be a great play for earnings. And of course, we'll see what happens. I'll report back that next time I do a show on stocks, how that trade panned out there as well. And you can see the beautiful Palantir trade that I gave. Where is that Palantir trade that I gave there? Absolutely beautiful there, the PTIR. And again, we traded PTIR there, get in at $25.23. And you can see there, again, same thing, $25.23. is where we got in all the way back here on the 9 EMA on the 1 hour. And look what that turned out to be, an incredible trade there. And of course, if you were just trading Palantir, you would have been getting in down here around $156 at the 9 EMA on the 1 hour there. That was the equivalent there for what I gave Palantir. So if you're always following my trades and I talk about the ETFs a lot, you can just, always have an entry off 9 EMA on the daily or the 1 hour or the 20 EMA. You just go and find the equivalent on the actual Palantir chart if you're only able to trade that Palantir trade there. Absolutely awesome. So there were some great trades. Always love seeing the wins stack up there in the wins section. And of course, if you do wish to get access to the Tribal Trades Discord family, I call it family now because that is really what it feels like, more of a family than a community. A family to me, just of incredible people, incredible traders that are really focused on the wealth transformation strategy that I share in this Discord and that I teach in this Discord. It's not just about making a winning trade, it's creating a winning lifestyle and creating life-changing gains and wealth creation for the long term. And so if you're looking to join the Tribal Trades Discord, unfortunately it is closed at the moment. However, there is a wait list that you can join. We will open up again this year and you can join this wait list. There is a link below in the description of this video. You might need to click the more button and look, it will ask you to sign up and pay, but you won't be charged unless you get added from the waitlist into the Discord. So the good news is, of course, that if you sign up and join the waitlist, you get priority access when I do open it up. And of course, from time to time, if there is anybody that does not renew their subscription, I will move people from the waitlist into the Tribal Trades Discord, the main section of the Discord earlier, and you don't have to wait for it to open. And that has happened for some people over the last few days. I've been able to add to the Discord there. And of course, what comes with the Discord, of course, the Tribal Trades Indicator, one indicator to rule them all. It's a paid indicator, but you get it as part of the Tribal Trades Discord, as do you get the Life-Changing Games Trading Course University, where you can learn the A to Z to trading, and of course all the live sessions. We had bonus. We usually have a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 3 per week. And last week we had 4 incredible sessions, including 3 days in a row, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And we had one yesterday, and we're going to have another one on Thursday as well. And of course, all of the crypto and the stock plays, the general updates, and of course, all the wonderful chats and learning and education in there with the incredible community that we are growing here. That is all I have time for today. So we will keep an eye on the SPY and on the 9 EMA on the daily. That's the key level. That's what I'm looking at to determine whether this is a fake out or a true breakout. So until the next episode, or until I see you on the Discord, happy trading.